Hi, Taurus. Welcome to your September 2019 Astro Update. It's Rena here. Taurus, I think you're going to have a lot of fun as the month begins. And even if you're watching or listening, I should say, in August, this is going to start then. I'm actually recording this in the second week of August. And a lot of these transits are, coming in the near future, like the sun hasn't gone into Virgo yet. And so I'm saying it in the future tense, but hopefully you will get my drift. Because Mars doesn't go into Virgo until about the third week of August. Same with Venus, and Mercury not until the end, and the sun in the third week. So basically, you're going to come into September with a new moon on the heels of a new moon in Virgo, as well as 4 personal planets in Virgo, which is your 5th house, which is the house of romance, of creativity, the business that you own, and children. And all of these areas can be featured for you in one way or the other, Taurus. And the 5th house is also the house of enjoyment, pleasure, if you will. So that's why I said that I think you're going to find it a lot lighter, because as the month of August begins, it's the 4th house energy that is taking precedence. And that is, with Leo energy. And that the 4th house is a water house. It's Cancer's domain. And so, but for you, Leo is the ruler of that house. And it's much more of a serious type of a thing. It's more dealing with family matters. And this is just more about having a good time. Okay? So, I think that you're going to just find life very fun. You may be just pursuing things. Taurus people like to have fun. You're ruled by Venus, so pleasure is something that you are a seeker of, and it's not something that you shy away from. And you will get this opportunity. Maybe you're going to be socializing more. 5th house can be parties, or going to plays, movies, concerts. And it just happens to be that way. Venus in this house, doubles that energy of romance. So if you're a single Taurus, you can hardly find a better time to make an acquaintance with somebody who becomes a lover than in September. And what else? I mean, Mars in the 5th house can be very active in pursuing things. Even competitive sports can be the 5th house, and Mars is certainly competitive. So maybe you are somebody who competes in some particular type of physical activity, and like bodybuilding competitions. Who knows? Mercury in the 5th house can mean talking to somebody that you are romantically interested in. Maybe you're just doing a lot of that communication, especially if they don't live near you and you have to rely on other forms of communication to keep in touch. And there's something else I wanted to say about Mercury in the 5th house. Well, if you have a home business, you might be setting up your internet, or getting your whatchamacallit together, your website, things like that. So that's happening. And then on the 14th, we have a full moon at 21 degrees of Pisces. This is the 11th house of hopes and wishes. So this could be a dream coming true for you. Now, it doesn't have to be career related. I mean, it could be just about anything. But this could be something that you have been hoping would come to pass for quite a while. Because it's also called the house of long-range goals. The 11th house is also the house of friendships. So you may be ending a friendship with somebody who perhaps has not been adding value to your life in some way. Maybe they've been subtracting from your kind of like happiness in life. Who knows? Maybe like you meet somebody that you are really in love with. You fall in love with somebody and you have a friend that's jealous, who can't handle the fact that you have found somebody and they haven't. Mercury and Venus go into Libra on the same date, the 14th. So they're going into the 6th house at the same time of this full moon, which is the house of work. Venus in the 5th house, in the 6th house is great for getting along well with coworkers. Now, one thing I could tell you too is that perhaps that's where you find the person that you eventually get involved with, is through the workplace. And even though this is coming on the heels of all those planets in the 5th house, maybe that's where you become attracted to this person. But the 6th house means that it's a thing. You're seeing this person every day and you're actually having this romance. Also, the other thing about the Venus in the 6th is it could be that you're getting a raise. Venus can bring money wherever she travels. On the 18th, we have Saturn going direct in Capricorn. For you, this is the 9th house, Taurus. And Saturn retrograde in the 9th may mean that you had a spiritual practice that you kind of like became lax about. And now you're like ready to get going again. Like, for instance, a yoga practice. Maybe you were like learning some type of, you were training for something that was a spiritual program that you belonged to and you dropped out and now you're coming back in. It could have been something connected to university. Maybe you like were taking college courses and then you just, what do you say? What's the past tense of forego? Forwent? Maybe you decided to forego it. Actually, I believe when Saturn went retrograde was back in April, which would have dovetailed with the spring session in the Northern Hemisphere, I would say, of college. And then over the summer, you didn't pursue anything, and now you've decided you're going to pick up again. But in any case, I think that Saturn direct is a good thing because it gives us more of a serious nature about disciplining ourselves in a certain area. For you, this is going to be the 9th house, which has to do with religious pursuits, with educational pursuits at the college level, or even any kind of religious studies, maybe some kind of language study. On the 23rd, we have the sun going into Libra. That's the equinox, very powerful period. This is the 6th house, and now we're starting to get into the 6th house matters. The 6th house is the house of health. We already have, I shouldn't have said now, we already have Mercury and Venus there. But now we're going to get the sun there. The new moon is on the 28th of the month at 5 degrees of Libra. So new beginnings in any kind of health regimen, like diet or exercise. You've got Mars in the 5th. I mean, you might be really getting a workout, perhaps through some kind of a sport, but definitely looking at new beginnings in this health area, as well as anything connected to perhaps your workplace situation in general. Maybe you're moving to a new division or department. Maybe you're trying to go into a different line of work, and it doesn't mean that you're doing it yet, but you're getting prepared to do it. So there are all kinds of possibilities. But then it's like, this is an earth house, the 6th house. So it's very practical. It's very good for anything connected to organizing your life, Taurus. Because, I wouldn't be surprised if some of you have started a business with all those planets in the 5th house, and this may even be in August when this happens for you, but definitely in the first half of September. And one of the things that you realize when you start a business, you're so focused on reaching out to people, getting new clients or whatever, getting the word out, making sure you are producing if you have a physical product, whatever. But the point is that how often do we think about how we organize our day when we work for ourselves? And that, to me, is one of the things that can really slip past people, elude them, and then they have to play catch up. And it can really take years. I mean, I'm talking strictly about myself now, where I'm, as a Taurus rising person, really seeing that being productive is not about eventually getting something done at a certain time, but how do you work? It's not like just if you work, but how do you work? And that if you can structure your day in a certain way that, kind of like maximizes your productivity, that gives you more energy for other things. I think sometimes people assume that if they have complete control over their time, that they can just chill. And yeah, you can, but you're not going to really feel that relaxed underneath the surface, because you're going to know that you have things you've got to do that you're not doing. And so that's never a good feeling. It's always good to feel like you took care of business, and then you can just focus on your own time. And especially if you have plans to start an online business, there's never it's like 24/7, really, when you think about it, because people can be ordering from all over the world. And, just because, it's 5 o'clock where you are, doesn't mean it's 5 o'clock in some other part of the world. And they may be assuming that you're going to be there, that you're going to answer their emails and all that stuff. And you have to kind of figure out how to do that without draining yourself. It all depends on how big your business is too, obviously. But anyway, so this could be like a great time to kind of really plan out how you want to, see your life. And this also applies if you plan to expand at some point, because, you might start off very slow and because you're small, and then you just take off, and you have to really be on top of your game in order to be a one-person operation. So you could be doing something with that, but definitely also with health-related matters, maybe realizing, that's the other thing, even with health, trying to better yourself. And a lot of people have these grandiose ideas when it could be as simple as saying, I'm going to get up a half hour earlier, and I'm going to take a run, or I'm going to walk, or maybe I'm going to, walk to work if it's within a few miles, or bike to work, and do these things and have it all seamlessly fit into your schedule without having to be such a big change. Okay, that's what I have for you, Taurus. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. My website is RainaMoonAstrology.com. Take care. Bye.